going to do one that's new this year from America's oldest brewery, at least they claim to be, and that would be Yeunglings, and they're out of Pottsville, Pennsylvania. They claim to have been brewing beer for 195 years now, which in America is unusual. Of course, overseas it's really not much. But, alright, so Yeunglings Bock Beer. That's what we have here. And it's really an inexpensive beer. It's widely available in the Northeast. Yeunglings Brewery is in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. And just looking at my camera, sorry. They've got a new brewery, I think, opening up in Florida. It's an East Coast beer. This thing was only $13 for a 12-pack. And that, by today's standards at the time of this video, is pretty cheap, honestly. I found a beer that I've been looking for a long time, one made locally that I've heard so much about, and that's by Prison City Brewery in Auburn, New York, which is where I bought this beer, in Auburn. But another brewery by the name of Prison City Brewery that's been open for about 10 years or better. Their beers are highly acclaimed. And I've heard so much about their Wham Wham Stout, and I could never find it. And I found it in the same store where I got this, which is Wegmans, and in Auburn. 4 cans of Prison City Brewery's Wham Wham Stout is $21 for 4 cans. I kind of wrinkled my nose at that. I'm sorry, that's a bit of a turn off. No beer's worth that much, as far as I know. And so this is 12 cans for $13 and some change. I got this. Been wanting to try this. Hopefully it's cold. It's in my freezer for a bit. The can is pretty straightforward, kind of old-fashioned. You know, looking with the type font. And they've got a billy goat on the front. And that is because this is Bock beer, which is a Bavarian Southern German style beer. And it originated in the 14th century, from what I've read, in a town called Einbach. And the locals there, at the time, due to their slang, the dialect of German there, they pronounce Einbeck, which is E-I-N, then B-E-C-K. You'd think Einbeck. They pronounce it Einbach. So the beer became known as Bock beer. And Bock is a word for goat in German. So it's got a goat on it. Bock beer. It's a seasonal beer. Comes out in the spring. Some people say you're supposed to drink it during Lent and Easter. I don't know about that. And very cheap, inexpensive beer. Weighs in at 5.4% alcohol, which is middle of the road, but for a Bock beer, it's rather weak. For any beer, lager, it's about average strength. But Bock beers usually go about 6 or 7. But this one's 5.4, for whatever that's worth. It's a malty, it's a lager, and it has a heavy emphasis on the malt and hopefully balanced just right with the hops. But hops should not be up front with this beer. This is a malty lager, and it should be fairly dark too. So I have some respect for Yeungling Brewery. They know what they're doing. So let's see. I just got through drinking some Bock beer in France, and I've been in Bavaria years ago and drank their beer there. Drank a lot of Bock beer. I was in southern Germany, Trier and Bitburg, Geilenkirchen, and that's Bavaria, and I was there in the springtime back in the 90s. And I went there to drink beer, and I drank a lot of Bock beer. I hired a cabbie and just had him drive me around for half a day, picking up a lot of beer and brought back to my hotel room, which I had a really good time. Went there solo. That's another story. Maybe I'll talk of those travels someday. All right, so what do we got here? This Bock beer. I smell yeast, hops. No, I don't smell any hops. I smell malt, and it smells like bread dough, honestly. To my nose, it smells like bread dough. All right, have a look at the, see how well it pours, how it looks. And it's fairly dark and fairly well carbonated. In fact, it's a fairly dark Bock beer, really. Yeah, very, very dark. This is quite cold. It really looks red. I really love looking at the colors through the candle. Makes it look enchanting. To me. To me it does. You know, I'm going to fill this glass right up. I think I can handle it. I don't have to be back to work for 2 months. Getting a lot of things done. One of which is I am working on Missouri Waltz for an individual that requested it on accordion. And I was working on that earlier tonight. Simple enough song, but it's got a couple of accidentals and a few accidentals here and there in it. That's, you know, it's a very pretty lullaby melody. Back to the beer. Smells like dough, bread dough. All right. Easy drinking. Doesn't knock you over in any way, good or bad. Good, really. It tastes good. It's rather sweet, but not cloyingly so sweet. It's very pleasantly surprised with this beer for $13 a 12-pack. Definitely isn't what you call snob beer. Like $21, and that's not counting tax and deposit. We're talking probably like $23, $24, $24 for 4 cans of Prison City's Wham Whams. If they're going to charge me that much money for their beer, I'm not going to drink it. Just on a matter of principle. I know what goes in beer. I know what goes in stouts. And granted, I've heard they make very good beer there. I'm not willing to pay that much for any beer. Unless it's the last beer on earth, maybe, yeah, okay. It is not. So I got this 12-pack of Bock beer for a fraction of the cost. And honestly, this is very good. It's very cold. Malty, sweet, kind of delicious, really. If you can imagine a beer being delicious. It is definitely a good representative of a Bock beer. And I've drank a lot of German Bock beers, and I think they're pretty well right on target with this one. You know, I'm very happy for that because usually American brewers, they try to switch it around. They do funny stuff with it. They don't try to stick to the style. You know, they add things to it. And no, not this one. Well done. Very well done. It's medium bodied. I mean, it's not a light beer. It's not a heavy beer, I guess. I think you knew that. It's a malty, sweet malty beer. Fairly well carbonated. And this beer is very cold. It's a shame it's seasonal. I'm gonna stock up on this for the money. God, can't beat that. That's a good mug of beer. This is just what I was hoping it would be. And that is good. Cheap beer, that is good. Oh, where did I put that lighter? Well, I'm going to start working on my video presentation of Mont Saint Michel that I spent a day and a night at when I was in Normandy, France. Just 2 or 3 weeks ago, actually, I was there. That place is something else. That place is like, you know, regardless of all the people that have tramped in and out of there for the almost 1,400 years or more than that. That place has seen a lot of traffic, and it still does. Tourists now. Used to be monks, and there are still monks there and nuns. But then it was seen soldiers. It was attacked. Saw a lot of warfare there, bloody battles. Supposedly, Saint Michael ordered the building of the abbey there. It's got quite a history to it, and I really picked up on that walking through there, and I got some outstanding photos and videos. I stayed there overnight, which not many people do. It becomes like empty at night, and I didn't know, but they turn off. There's no lights. It's not lit up like you'd think. It's a little lit, but yeah, I'll go into that when I do that. This is a beer review, but I've got some pretty good pictures and video clips and a few things to say about it and some recommendations if you ever plan to go there, if you've never been there. Yeah, get some of this Bock beer and bring it with you. They've got a few places that sell beer on Mont Saint Michel. They've got about 3 or 4 restaurants. They've got a couple souvenir shops that are, in my opinion, they're kind of tacky, but they sell soft drinks and wine, cider, and beer as well. Not a lot of it, though. Ooh, this is very good. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing in my future. I made the France trip. Everything want it to go. It went perfect. I had a few ups and downs, but did everything I set out to do there, and then some. Didn't really improve my French any. Debating whether I want to go back. I'm thinking I'm going to go back. We'll see. Stay longer this time. I might check out another city Another beautiful little fortress town like Dinan. France has a number of them. These medieval walled-in cities that inside the walls, it's very historical. It's like a time capsule from the medieval days. Outside, then you start getting newer buildings and stuff, like you would expect. But it can be pretty cool. The one at Denham was excellent with the cafes and restaurants and all the stonework and history there. It's really amazing. I don't know why I'm having a hard time drinking this. It's cold. It's very cold. I don't know, I'm just not feeling like a beer, I guess. Well, I will tell you that the Yeunglings Bock Beer gets 2 thumbs up from me. I think I'm just going to cut it short here. This is very good beer, 2 thumbs up. It earns a little bit of a thumbs up just because it's inexpensive, but it's very well made. It smells malty, tastes really good, tastes like a Bock beer. Carbonation is right where it should be. And the appearance of it is outstanding, even without the candle. I guess I'll finish it. It's a good beer. I don't know. Not much going on with me. Been back for about a week and a half from France. I'm already looking to return. I'm eyeballing Italy as well. I'm retired Army. I've got an Army pension and I've got a couple other pensions type things coming in. I'm not well off, but I'm all right. I can afford to be independent. So, I can afford quite a bit of Europe. Well, Italy, southern Italy is inexpensive. I'd like to go to a warmer climate for this winter. Southern France, I'm looking at that. And Italy, possibly somewhere by the ocean, of course, but maybe not. I was looking at Turin, maybe Rome. I don't know. My kids are all grown, long grown. They're independent. Both my parents are gone. Everybody's gone. I don't even have a dog. That's I hate to say it's a fairly lonely existence here for me. It's a very lonely existence here for me. But it has its perks, and one of those are freedom. I'm free to do whatever I want, manage my money the way I want, free to travel, if that's what I want to do. Free to sit here and have a beer and talk about it, blab about it, and yeah. What do you call it? Loneliness, or is it freedom? For me, it's loneliness, but I do also enjoy the freedom, and I thank God for the ability to take care of myself. God is good. God looks out for us. We've got a really wonderful Lord, and He loves us, honestly, even though it's hard here. Unjust and difficult at times, lonely. I believe He loves us. He loves me quite a bit, a lot. I mean, we can't be that bad of shape, right? I mean, it's tough here for sure. Well, I got blue candle dye in the mail today. thought I'd make some blue candles. What goes with blue? Pink. So when I was in France, I brought back a couple new prototype candles. So I'll make some more candle molds because I like the spiral candles, as you can tell. Debating getting into brewing, but that's a lot of equipment and expense to get back into brewing. I've brewed for years. I haven't for a while. But you know, if I'm thinking about going to France or to even Italy or somewhere, that's a pretty good leap, you know, and do I really want to be buying a bunch of equipment and things that's just going to leave over here anyway? It's a difficult decision. Kicking around, I went to that day course on being a monk in France and enjoyed it, honestly. I don't know if it's the route I want to go. I don't know. I'll trust God to lead me into that. Personally, I don't think it's for me. But I'm open. Playing with my candles. I made these ones today just for this video. I took all my scrap ones, I don't throw them out, and I melted them down and made these tea candles. I just got this in the mail. It's used. It's a Simon Pierce mug like you've seen me use. I brought two of them to France and they were broken. And to travel, they didn't make it. Oh, it's like about $60 each. Easily $60 each. Used. More than that, no. Handmade in Vermont. Crystal glass. Best beer mug on earth, as far as I'm concerned. But they do break, and I've broken quite a few of them. The old vintage ones, they're my favorites. When he was first starting out making them, they were really heavy, giant mugs, you know. This is more kind of refined. They were giant, a lot bigger. And I broke a few of those, but sooner or later, I keep looking, somebody will have one up for sale, one of those really old ones. And I'm going to jump on it, if I can. Well, I think I'm going to call it on this. Yeah, if you like beer, if you like Bock beer, you don't mind. If you like it kind of sweet, malty, this is not an IPA by any means. And it's not like a Budweiser lager. It's a malty, sweet, not so sweet it's cloying, but a malty beer. Then you do much worse getting something else. I mean, this is pretty good stuff. So I'm going to call that a night. And Yeunglings Bock Beer, get some. Get some. That's what I meant to say.